They say the mid-range is dead, but I'm here to show you that it's just as alive and healthy today as it was in the past with the first edition of Mid-Range Monday, where I showcase some of the NBA's best buckets from inside the arc every week. First up, Kawhi Leonard operates in his sweet spot in the mid-post and gives DeAndre Hunter the quick pump fake to free up the textbook one-dribble pull-up. Let's look at it closer. With Hunter playing him tight, upon the catch, Kawhi sets his feet to sell the face-up jumper or rip through baseline. Anticipating either of those moves, Hunter falls for Leonard's shot fake and it gives Kawhi enough space to get to the shot he actually wants. I always say less is more in basketball, and this is just that. A simple yet high IQ play from the claw. You'll hear me talk a lot about how great scorers have incredible spatial awareness, being aware of how tight or how soft their defender is guarding them, and being aware of how different amounts of space require different shots. This is just one way Kawhi Leonard models that. He had an amazing mid-range showcase versus the Grizzlies later in the week that featured plenty more examples of his skill set. Next, we head to Phoenix, where the Suns hosted the San Antonio Spurs, a game that featured two mid-range masterpieces. First up, he may be known as the villain defensively, but you cannot sleep on his offensive bag. Dillon Brooks takes advantage of his strength against Keldon Johnson, using the combination of his handle and his body to create space for the turnaround fade. One more look. Peep how Dillon attacks Keldon's top foot with the inside jab step. Noticing Keldon doesn't bite, Brooks then builds on the initial move with a strong dribble left before crossing back over through the legs to his right, successfully winning the battle of balance versus Johnson. This allows Brooks to get back to his dominant hand and his sweet spot in the mid-range. Because Keldon does a good job sliding his feet and cutting off yet another drive, Brooks doesn't give up there and instinctively pivots the opposite direction to get just enough room to shoot his fadeaway. This display from Dillon Brooks shows why counter moves are important, as he is clearly another guy who studied the book of MJ and Kobe. But we're not done in Phoenix just yet, as later that quarter, De'Aaron Fox used a crafty hesitation dribble to set up a tough bucket inside the paint. With a last-ditch effort at a 2-for-1 opportunity, notice how De'Aaron uses his first dribbles to show a pull-up three, a move that Royce O'Neal almost fell for. While Royce does a good job recovering, Fox keeping his dribble alive and getting him to bite freed up space to drive towards his dominant side. Noticing Mark Williams prepared to meet him at the rim, rather than going strong to the cup, he weaves towards the dotted line, hoping to disrupt Williams' timing as a shot blocker. This decision allows Fox to plant both his feet and use his momentum to elevate over the taller defender in Williams with a rainbow fade. Smooth operation, word to Big Daddy Kane. After that, we head to Brooklyn to see what Brunson did versus the Knicks' crosstown rival. JB takes the rookie Yegor Joman to school with a mean hezzy gather to create an open shot against a taller defender. We know that Jalen Brunson loves to use hesitation dribbles to eventually initiate contact and use it to his advantage. That's what makes those two dribbles so lethal. With a crowded right side of the floor, Brunson uses the first hesitation to set up what you would presume to be an explosive drive towards his dominant hand. But Brunson, a step ahead of the defense, decides to pull back into a jumper rather than attack the bigger Joman head on. Anticipating the drive, Joman gets caught out of position and as a result is forced to watch the crafty Jalen Brunson knock down the easy midi. This is a textbook example of how a player's feet, not necessarily what they do with the rock, serve as the most important part of their handle. Brunson burner in full effect. Now, let's go to Sacramento, where Malik Monk let his baseline turnaround fade speak to tell Anthony Edwards, "You can't guard me." First off, let's acknowledge that Ant-Man is doing a lot of things right defensively here. Trusting his help, he's okay with forcing him middle as he's pinned to Malik's dominant hand, forcing him left. Tight defense and active feet. However, Malik executes the first of two things young players are coached to do. He doesn't panic and keeps his dribble alive. Rather than dribbling into a crowd, he backs up from Edwards and quickly spins towards his dominant hand, reviving what was taken away earlier. And second, even with Anthony Edwards still playing great defense, Monk doesn't pick the ball up in the corner, a decision that players can easily be tempted to make under pressure. This time though, Monk spins away from the baseline straight into a contested yet comfortable fadeaway over Minnesota's superstar guard. You gotta be quite the bucket getter to successfully execute a stubborn-minded midi like this. Thankfully Malik Monk is, and his team got the win, so it's all good. Then we travel to the nation's capital to see the young but veteran-esque Bub Carrington use his wit and footwork to go from nothing to something. Bub comes off the DHO and tries to trap his defender behind him. Though the decision didn't pan out how he hoped, he realizes that a simple pivot can take him from seeing two Hawks defenders to an open look at the basket in the area he operates best. If you're learning anything from this week's edition of Mid-Range Monday, it's not to panic. Trust your fundamentals. Shout out to Bub for showing that the youngins know how to get down in the mid-range too. Sticking to the East Coast, we're going to head to Boston to see Jaylen Brown take advantage of space and his strength advantage versus Duncan Robinson to cash in from mid-range. With Robinson playing tight, we see Jaylen successfully rip through him to open up his dribble. With Robinson still attached to his hip, he wisely uses his snatchback move to create the perfect amount of separation needed to get his shot off, only to mishandle what would have been the start of his jump shot. Funny enough, this allows Jaylen Brown to attack the space he just created and get a closer, easier look by getting low, attacking Duncan Robinson's hip, give him a slight bump to keep him off balance, and finish with the easy shot from the dotted line. A great example of a scorer being stubborn enough to not just settle for his first shot, but look to get a better shot if possible. Up north, Brandon Ingram called game versus the Indiana Pacers with the textbook pull-up over former Raptor Pascal Siakam. At 6'9", Ingram's strides allow him to cover more ground with less movement compared to smaller players. His first glide, if you will, sets up his final dribble, and with Pascal playing him close, the minute Brandon got the step on him, it was already too late. With a small stunt from Ben Mathurin and Jay Huff waiting for him inside, Ingram knows to stop on a dime and raise up with confidence. And as we can see, Pascal getting caught leaning on that last dribble decreased his chances of getting an effective contest on BI's shot. Oftentimes in the mid-range, less is more, and this is a great example of Brandon Ingram keeping the game simple and sticking to his shot he's made thousands of times when his team needed it the most. As a mid-range threat, it's one thing to just get to your spot. It's a whole other thing when every spot is your spot. Let's see how Ant Edwards managed to score against a loaded OKC defense. In a tight fourth quarter, notice a couple things. First, Ant's got under 10 seconds on the shot clock to work with. And second, because Ant-Man is liable to posterize the defense, notice how OKC is mostly loading the box to take away any driving lane. OKC often lines up in this defense to force ball handlers to dribble into crowds and generate turnovers. By eliminating the drive with aggressive help, they are daring him to force a jumper or pass to someone else late in the shot clock. First, AJ Mitchell is playing great on-ball defense and forcing Ant baseline, using the baseline kinda as another defender. If Ant tries to drive, Shai is right there waiting for him, while also prepared to close out on Randle if he passes to the corner. Cason Wallace is also on the block, prepared to intercept a potential pass to Jaden McDaniels in the dunker spot. Ant knows he can't go right, so he does a good job using his dribble to find a way back to his left. Of course, Lou Dort is right at the nail, waiting to either trap Ant, intercept a potential pass to DiVincenzo, or close out should that pass get through. Once again, Ant's options are limited as OKC's defense is on a string. That only leaves the last option of space left, step back. That little step back, combined with Ant's strength and getting just enough of a step versus Mitchell, created the opportunity to get off the top of the key midi. Ant's elevation on his shot made it safe enough to score over both Mitchell and Dort a little bit there. Despite the loss, this is another great example of how even against a stifling OKC defense, great offense always wins. The great mid-range scorers are always aware of their spacing and only need a smidgen of it to excel. No panic, just buckets. Speaking of no panic, let's actually go to an earlier point in this game where Shai Gilgeous-Alexander got a tough bucket to go late in the shot clock. This moment against Anthony Edwards reminded me of the Kobe and D-Wade duels back in the day. With 6 seconds left, Shai gets the ISO versus Ant-Man, but due to Edwards' great physical defense, Shai doesn't get the look he usually gets. He goes left, but gets stonewalled, so he can't drive, go for the step back, or draw a foul. He improvises, spinning off Ant's physicality, hoping the fade from his right pocket opens up. And still, Anthony Edwards is right there as he even strips the ball from Shai, taking away about a half second off the clock. Ant's doing everything right, yet the recovery from Shai allows him to get a second attempt at the shot he was previously going to take as he gathers the ball, uses his right foot to kind of get just outside Anthony Edwards' reach, elevate like any other fadeaway, and shoot the ball straight up to get that high arc over the strong contest by Edwards. Nothing but nylon. Woo! What a tough bucket against tough defense, as SGA proves once again that the best scorers never see problems, only solutions. More solutions came from Devin Vassell, as De'Aaron Fox ain't the only one in San Antonio holding some mid-range magic. Look at this pivot exhibition from Mr. Vassell. He comes off a curl, comes to a solid jump stop, a little 1-2 stop there, throws the ball fake, hoping to fade over his right shoulder, but Kris Murray is all over it. Though he does get too close and probably should have been called for a foul, hoping to take advantage of Murray's anxiousness, Vassell then dips his shoulder real low into Kris Murray's core, which could have been used to draw the foul or used as a friendly bump to create space for the fade. Neither of those events happened, and still, Vassell's patient footwork sets up the one-legged leaner with just enough touch for the swish. Dirk Nowitzki would be proud of this execution from Devin, as he found a way to get a phone booth bucket against a taller defender. Staying out west, it's only right to highlight a master of balance and timing, Devin Booker, who makes the fadeaway look easy going along that sweet spot of the baseline towards his dominant hand. Book has several options coming off this screen. He can lob to Oso Ighodaro, fire it to Jordan Goodwin for the three, or make a play himself. Book chooses the latter, as Precious Achiuwa monitors the potential lob while containing Devin Booker long enough for Keon Ellis to get back in the play. And we see Nick Clifford tag Ighodaro before reading the potential pass to Goodwin. With Booker shielding off Keon Ellis, it allows him to take the perfect angle to create something out of nothing. Notice he doesn't choose to attack Precious directly or fade directly going to his right. He gathers his feet and attacks at an angle that allows him to comfortably elevate into his shot while separating himself from the defense. Book is one of the best in the league at recognizing the amount of space he has, even if it's small, switching up the rhythm of his drives with stop-and-go dribbles, and getting tremendous balance and elevation on his shot where it becomes hard to block. Going back east, Brandon Miller made scoring on a triple team with the shot clock going down look too easy with this step-back J. As Charlotte executes the pick and roll to get the smaller defender on Miller, he does a great job doing his work early and sealing Trey Jones to get a clean catch at the nail. This is one of the best spots to receive the ball in a triple threat position because of the ability to see the entire floor. However, with time against him, Brandon knows he's got to act fast. Rather than backing down Jones with no way to see a defender like Javon Carter sneaking in for a steal, he wisely catches the ball and immediately swings his right foot towards the hoop, moving straight into his defender, giving him a friendly bump and creating that separation with the step back. Similar to what we saw Anthony Edwards do, notice how with both Javon Carter and Patrick Williams stunting hard as help defenders, Brandon Miller knew his safest option was to simply step back for the free throw line jumper. It may not have been a great shot or even the best decision to make here, but with noticeable height advantages over Jones and Carter and Williams coming to contest from the side, the shot window was definitely there for the 6'7" swingman. This was a nice example showing how operating from the triple threat can oftentimes be better than operating from a live dribble, especially in situations where the defense decides to load up against a skilled scorer. We saw the Thunder benefit from it late in Game 4 in the NBA Finals, players like Paul George and DeMar DeRozan getting easier looks from playing off the catch more as they get older, and is exactly why the triple threat became a staple for guys like Kobe Bryant, Paul Pierce, and Carmelo Anthony, who faced the clog paint defenses of the 2000s and early 2010s. Brandon Miller reminds us that no matter the era, it's always going to be beneficial to have the triple threat in your toolbox. In Indiana, Khris Middleton showed that despite his age, his mid-range game is as smooth as ever with this nice fadeaway over Benedict Mathurin. What I appreciate about this play is that as Khris surveys the floor, look how open the paint is. Even as Isaiah Jackson eventually gets into his help position, you can't help but think that if Khris Middleton was younger, that's a spin or a rip through going left for a bucket at the hoop. Instead, he attacks that direction in another way. He uses a bit of a stutter jab or juke jab combo to shift his momentum to get Mathurin to believe he's attacking the middle. Yet right as he inches towards that spot, he spins the opposite way right into his signature fadeaway. The way Middleton was able to shift Ben Mathurin just enough towards the middle and prevent him from having a direct contest is what opened up that fadeaway towards the baseline. Being able to feel the defense in that way is key to creating opportunities like these. In Milwaukee, Kevin Porter Jr. returned to the lineup and wasted no time letting the fans know he's back like he never left. He almost got himself in trouble, yet still found a way to knock down the jumper over Danny Wolf. Late in the shot clock, with the whole left side of the floor to work with, KPJ seeks to use his quickness to get past Wolf, trying various dribble moves. Tries the quick stop and go, not there. Snatch back, tween, cross, and Wolf still isn't budging. as his active hands causes Porter to fumble the pill. With about 3 seconds left, KPJ picks up his dribble at the dotted line, gives a pump fake that Danny Wolf still doesn't fall for. Gotta love the defense from the rookie here, but Porter's persistence pays as he keeps the ball low, ripping through Wolf to create a sliver of space needed to set his feet and fade away from Wolf with the perfect touch. Man, did KPJ have to work for that or what? Once again, you don't want to have to work this hard for your buckets, but in the NBA, it's bound to happen at some point. And Kevin Porter Jr. delivered another example of getting something out of nothing with this crafty bailout bucket. And last but certainly not the least, here's Cooper Flagg showing that the rookies know a thing or two about the in-between game as well. Watch how he dribbles around the screen with patience, seeing Zubac in a drop and noticing Batum trailing to disrupt the pocket pass. With great spatial awareness, he uses a bit of a push-out dribble to get a bit further away from the slower but taller Zubac and use the hop gather to ensure his elevation is enough to cash in the jumper. You always want to give bigs in drop coverage some kind of move to throw off their timing, a crossover, an in and out, or a push out into a jumper like Cooper executed here. Any change of pace or change of direction to create a good look. Cooper Flagg continues to show flashes of the scoring threat he can become in this league. That's a wrap for this week's Mid-Range Monday. Drop a comment and tell me your favorite mid-range bucket from last week's games, and as you watch the games this week, be sure to look out for more players mastering the middle of the floor as they just might appear in the next installment.